Jesus commanded reality with 2 words. Before Lazarus walked from the tomb, before bread multiplied to feed thousands, before the blind received sight, he spoke a phrase that shifted the invisible into the visible. Heaven responded to this alignment. Creation obeyed. The universe rearranged itself to match the frequency he carried. Most people miss this completely. They pray long prayers, plead with God, strain to convince heaven to move. The effort itself reveals the problem. Jesus never begged. He spoke from absolute knowing, from total alignment with Source. When that state of being meets words, miracles become inevitable. The real currency of heaven operates outside human effort. Before any evidence appeared, before any sign of life emerged from the tomb, Jesus lifted his eyes and said thank you. The corpse hadn't moved. Decay had already begun. Physical reality screamed impossibility. Yet he wasn't addressing the situation. He was addressing the unseen cause behind all visible effects. This wasn't positive thinking or hopeful wishing. This was recognition of what already existed in the realm of consciousness before matter could catch up. Before the bread and fish multiplied, he gave thanks again. 5 loaves and 2 fish sat before him. 5,000 hungry people surrounded him. The mathematics screamed scarcity. Yet he spoke from abundance consciousness, acknowledging the invisible supply before the visible manifestation could appear. His gratitude didn't react to circumstances. It created them. When you speak from that place, you're not describing reality. You're defining it. You're declaring alignment with the field where all possibilities already exist in completion. Fear-based prayer repels the very thing it seeks. Begging implies separation from Source. Pleading suggests you lack connection to divine supply. Straining to convince God reveals doubt about your worthiness to receive. These energetic signatures block the flow they're attempting to open. Faith operates on a completely different frequency. Gratitude activates faith at the cellular level. When you say thank you before seeing evidence, your entire nervous system receives the signal that the outcome already exists. Your body relaxes. Your energy field expands. You become a vibrational match for what you're calling into form. Gratitude tunes your consciousness to heaven's frequency. Think of it as calibrating an instrument. A guitar string vibrating at the wrong frequency produces discordant sound. Tune that string correctly and it resonates in harmony with every other properly tuned string. Your consciousness works identically. Worry, fear, and doubt create dissonance that blocks divine flow. Gratitude creates resonance that opens channels for heaven to move through your life. This isn't metaphor. This is energetic physics operating at the level where consciousness shapes matter. The instruction to give thanks in everything appears throughout Scripture for this precise reason. The timing matters critically. Gratitude doesn't wait for favorable circumstances. It activates alignment regardless of external conditions. When you say thank you in the middle of chaos, disappointment, or apparent failure, you're making a declaration that transcends the visible realm. You're announcing that you trust the unseen cause more than the visible effect. You're stating that you know outcomes are already complete in consciousness even when matter hasn't yet reflected that completion. Gratitude disarms fear instantaneously. Fear projects into future scenarios, creating anxiety about what might happen. Gratitude anchors you in present awareness of what already is. When your consciousness rests in the present moment, acknowledging current blessings, fear loses its grip. The 2 states cannot occupy your awareness simultaneously. You're either focusing on lack and generating more lack, or focusing on abundance and generating more abundance. This isn't wishful thinking. This is quantum mechanics operating through consciousness. When Jesus said to believe you have already received what you pray for, he was revealing how manifestation actually works. Creation doesn't happen in linear time where you ask today and receive tomorrow. Creation happens in consciousness first, always. The asking and the having exist simultaneously in the field of infinite possibility. Your belief collapses the wave function, pulling specific outcomes from possibility into probability and finally into physical manifestation. Gratitude is how you signal belief at the deepest level. Words can lie. Energy cannot. Standing in uncertainty while sounding like victory requires total conviction about the nature of reality. Most people wait for conditions to improve before feeling grateful. This reverses the creative sequence. Conditions don't create your state of being. Your state of being creates conditions. When you generate the energy of gratitude first, matter reorganizes itself to match that frequency. Your external world mirrors your internal world with precision. Change the inner and the outer follows automatically. Gratitude becomes spiritual command when spoken from alignment. This isn't about politeness or social convention. This is about wielding creative force through consciousness. When you say thank you from the depth of your being, acknowledging divine supply, you issue a command to the quantum field. You're not asking permission. You're claiming what already belongs to you in the realm of infinite possibility. Heaven recognizes this frequency because it matches the frequency of source consciousness itself. The instruction to remember the day before sleep serves a specific purpose. Your brain enters alpha and theta states as you drift towards sleep. These brainwave frequencies make your subconscious mind highly receptive to programming. When you review your day through the lens of gratitude, you're encoding appreciation into your subconscious. This programming runs automatically while you sleep and throughout the next day, shifting your default perception from lack to abundance. One night of practice creates a small shift. 30 consecutive nights rewire your neural pathways permanently. Replaying your day isn't about judgment or self-criticism. You're witnessing moments you overlooked while racing through your schedule. The morning breath that filled your lungs. Sunlight touching your skin. Water that quenched your thirst. Food that nourished your cells. These aren't random occurrences. They're evidence of constant provision flowing through your life. Most people experience these things unconsciously, never recognizing the abundance surrounding them. Conscious recognition amplifies the flow. What you acknowledge expands. Naming each blessing specifically matters. Generic gratitude carries less power than specific acknowledgement. When you say thank you for the exact message that arrived at the perfect moment, for the unexpected help that appeared, for the strength that sustained you through difficulty, you're creating neural pathways that make you more sensitive to future instances of provision. Your reticular activating system learns to spot evidence of support. You begin noticing what you previously missed. Increased awareness creates increased experience. Redeeming pain through gratitude transmutes suffering into wisdom. This doesn't mean pretending pain doesn't exist or denying legitimate hurt. This means recognizing that even difficult experiences carry seeds of growth. The disappointment that forced you to develop resilience. The betrayal that taught you discernment. The delay that saved you from wrong timing. You can't always see these connections immediately. Gratitude for pain acknowledges that divine intelligence operates beyond your limited perspective, weaving even painful experiences into your highest good. Thanking Source in the middle of the mess demonstrates faith in its purest form. Anyone can be grateful after receiving the miracle. That's reaction, not faith. Real faith gives thanks before conditions change. This kind of gratitude says you know something deeper than circumstances. You trust that consciousness is already working on solutions invisible to your current awareness. You believe outcomes are unfolding perfectly even when evidence suggests otherwise. This level of trust creates the energetic space for heaven to move. Jesus gave thanks before anything changed because he understood the sequence. Consciousness creates first. Matter follows. The invisible precedes the visible. When he stood before Lazarus's tomb, he wasn't hoping for resurrection. He was aligned with it in consciousness before commanding it into physical form. The gratitude wasn't premature celebration. It was acknowledgement of what already existed in the quantum field. His words simply collapsed that possibility into material reality. Releasing tomorrow means stopping the mental rehearsal of future problems. Your mind projects scenarios endlessly, creating stress about situations that haven't occurred and may never occur. This mental time travel steals energy from the present moment where actual creative power lives. When you say thank you that tomorrow is already handled, you're reclaiming that energy. You're choosing to trust divine orchestration rather than attempting to control outcomes through worry. Control is an illusion. Trust is liberation. Speaking gratitude over future events before they unfold programs your consciousness for positive outcomes. Your subconscious mind cannot distinguish between imagined experience and actual experience. When you thank Source for handling the meeting before it happens, your nervous system relaxes. You enter that meeting in a calm, centered state rather than anxious and defensive. This energetic shift affects everyone you encounter. People respond to your energy more than your words. Gratitude creates magnetic presence that draws favorable outcomes. The challenge to spend 24 hours only giving thanks, never asking, reveals how addicted most people are to petition-based prayer. The mind defaults to requesting, pleading, bargaining. This keeps consciousness locked in lack mode. Breaking that pattern for even one day rewires your relationship with Source. You discover that gratitude alone opens more doors than 1,000 petitions. The energy of appreciation carries higher frequency than the energy of need. Higher frequency creates faster manifestation. Every time worry arises and you respond with thank you instead, you're interrupting an automatic pattern. The worry wants to spiral into anxiety, creating worst-case scenarios that trigger stress hormones. The gratitude redirects that energy, choosing faith over fear. This isn't suppression. This is conscious redirection. You're training your mind to default to trust rather than terror. Neuroplasticity means your brain adapts to whatever pattern you repeat most consistently. Repeat gratitude and your brain wires for peace. When something goes wrong and you say thank you, you're claiming a perspective beyond surface appearances. Maybe this apparent setback prevents something worse you can't yet see. Maybe this delay creates space for something better to arrive. Maybe this closed door protects you from a path that would have led nowhere. You don't need to understand the mechanism. You simply trust that intelligence far beyond your comprehension is orchestrating outcomes for your benefit. This trust allows you to relax into the process rather than fighting reality. Doubt whispers constantly in the gaps between certainty. Your logical mind analyzes, questions, seeks proof before believing. This is the nature of the thinking mind. It cannot access faith because faith operates beyond thought. When doubt speaks and you respond with gratitude, you're shifting from mental processing to heart knowing. The mind knows through evidence. The heart knows through resonance. Gratitude keeps you anchored in heart consciousness where miracles become natural. Thank you isn't reaction. It's creation. These words carry generative power when spoken from aligned consciousness. You're not thanking Source for something that happened. You're thanking Source for what already exists in potential, pulling it from invisible into visible. This is the exact mechanism Jesus used before every miracle. He acknowledged completion in consciousness before commanding it into form. His gratitude didn't follow manifestation. It preceded and enabled manifestation.